today's edition of Pegasus Test. And on today's edition, we're going to cover the target stands used in the British snap shooting video. A lot of you have asked about that, like what targets, are there designs available out there? To be honest, what I did is I've kind of built them myself. I looked at what the Bloke and British Muzzleloaders did in their video and tried to emulate it as best I could. And I didn't have the success they had in their video. So these target stands went through several iterations. I've got them to the point now that they mostly work pretty reliable. Every now and then you get one that gets stuck. But for the most part they work. I'll show you what I did, and if you can invent something better, by all means please do and post it. I'd love to see it. Alright, so let me get a few facts out there real quick. 1, I'm not an engineer. 2, my woodworking skills are not the best in the world. 3, I'm trying to emulate something I see for a few seconds at an odd angle in a video, so forgive me here. The first iteration started out with just a simple board with a stick mounted onto it, and that was to see how it would work. And when we pulled, the first thing it would do is tip over, or it would just slide along the ground. So we had to come up with something a little bit better. The second thing that we did, though, was add these little legs over here that you see on each end. For some reason, tipping up on them makes it work just a little bit better. Can't figure it out. And then we added this leg here to the post that we attach a line to make sure it doesn't go forward, too far forward. So when you pull on the line, it comes up like this, and when you release the line, it goes back down. Now another thing we did here is add in a 2x2 and screw that in, and we made it replaceable. That's where you attach the target to. And it goes from there. Now, basically, I'm still using this one. This was kind of the first edition I made. It works, but it only works on the 30-yard target, which is this portion of the head and shoulders and up. It seems when I mount the bigger targets on it, it doesn't work as well. I can't exactly figure out why, but it is what it is. Now, this is all just scrap woods. This is a 2x6, and these little 2x2s that you see, they're made out of section of deck edge railing that you can buy pre-cut at Home Depot, Lowe's, or any other big store like that. And as you can even see here, it's got an angle because that's how they come. They're already pre-angled on one end. And I just cut them down to size. This one is getting tore up right about here, as you can see, and it's going to be replaced soon, so you just unscrew the screws, put a new one in, and this is what you staple the target to. In this configuration, it works pretty good. I'll give you some close-up details so you can see just a little bit better. Okay, here we are close up. We got little legs down there just screwed into a 2x6. And got an arm held in place with some L brackets with a leg on the front of it. And on the back here, we put another 2x2 on top for stapling the targets to. And as you can see, it gets kind of tore up when it takes bullet impacts. And we wanted to preserve our 2x6 long as possible, so that's why we made a replaceable mounting board for it. You notice I didn't give you any measurements, and that's because it's all kind of been done by the TLR method. That looks about right. Just figure it out. I mean, here's my arm for reference for the pull down thing. Say this is about 4 feet wide. The little legs here were just enough to extend past the board, maybe by an inch or so. It's kind of trial and error as you do it, but for the 30-yard target, it's actually working pretty good, pretty flawlessly. Now, let's go take a look at the target stands I use for the 90, 80, 70, and 50-yard targets. All right, now, I only have one here on display, but for the record, there's 2 of these. Because you need one for the 90 and 80 lane segment, and you also need one for the 70 and 50 lane segment. And that's because you're mounting different targets. On the 80 and 90, you're mounting a full-size IPSA, IPSC, IDPA type target, and on the 70 and 50 lane segment, you're mounting a half-size target. So you need 2 stands to do it all in one run. Okay, so this you can see is a whole lot more elaborate. The problem I was having with the first design I showed you is with the half-size and full-size cardboards on it, it just wouldn't work right. I still don't know why because I'm not an engineer, but I decided to make something a little more elaborate. And at work, we had a project going on. We built some highly specialized crates for a customer, and they required 2x4s in sections of it that had a piece of plywood screwed onto it. And we had a lot of sections left over, and I noticed the length was just about the right length of what I needed. So what I did is I took two of the sections and bolted them together with a connecting piece and put a threaded bolt in there and to give it something to pivot on. And when we first tried it out, it actually worked pretty good. Problem is, you could go too far forward with it, and that's why these little legs are added here on each side. It's really to keep it from going too far forward. Of course, you have the arm for tying your rope to. You pull it forward, you release it, it goes back. And then you have two replaceable sticks here. As they get shot up, torn up, you replace those without having to replace your whole target stand. Now, something to be aware of. Believe it or not, this thing's incredibly well balanced. And I have found that if you mount the target on the front of the sticks, it'll prop itself up more as opposed to mounting it on the back of the stick, and then it seems to very reliably go down at that point. Everything in here is designed to be replaceable. These 2x2s are fairly cheap at your Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever outdoor store you buy from. And they will get torn up. As you can see here, I'll bring the camera in close, but there are points where this pull stick got hit. The plywood down here has been hit. These are full of staples. So it's designed to be replaced and upgraded as necessary. Okay, here are the end pieces. You can see where I just screwed it into one 4x4 and then lag bolted the other one into the top to allow it to pivot. Now, believe it or not, one lesson we learned here, as you will see in this section of wood, we drilled 2 holes for driving stakes through to anchor it into the ground. That apparently contributes to malfunctions. It works better unanchored. I guess the little bit of play in there is what it needs. The little legs up front here, they're designed from letting it travel too far forward so it goes back. As you can see here, the pull arm, you have to have it somewhat centered, so I have it offset as much as possible. It does take some hits. You can see the support arms where the staples were in from stapling on the front, and we found out that didn't work so well, so we started stapling on the back. And as you can see, they're just screwed in here to this piece of plywood that's attached to the 4x4. Overall, a very simple design, almost deceptively simple, because it took a lot of tries to get it to work just right reliably. And there you go. There are the target stands that we use for the British Advanced Snap Shooting Drill. They're pretty good. They're working out fairly good. They're easy to repair. They're pretty inexpensive, although the price of lumber these days, inexpensive is a relative term. And the good news is we plan to do some more videos on this British Advanced Snap Shooting. We intend to do some low light ones. We intend to do some with nods. And hopefully we even intend to do some force on force. More on that later. We're hoping you found this video helpful and informative. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And tune in for videos on future shooting techniques.